Hi there. This is our sixth lesson for our spirit groups from the book What Are You by Amelia Shanklin. So this chapter is called non-resistance. Kind of a tough word to really handle. If you're being resistant, how are you non-resistant, which means you're not resistant. So there's a very distinctive line when it comes to our spiritual growth about non-resistance that we need to address. Non-resistance is not pushing, not opposing, not resenting. It has nothing to do with what you like or don't like. It has to do with the flow of energy, the flow of where you're going and what's happening to you when the personal connects with the impersonal, that part of you that is never changing, always present for you. But the personal is that fictitious part of us. And the fictitious part of us tells us all manner of things that are not the truth of us. Like the world is not safe, that in order to get what we want, we have to fight for it. Like that if we really want to be happy, then we need to make sure that somebody else isn't happy. That willingness to be right at all cost, that is not going with the flow. That's pushing your will on yourself or on others. And what we've learned so far in this material is that everything that she speaks about is further defining the law of mind action. And of course, the law of mind action is what you give your attention to grows, negative or positive. You get to decide where you want to put that energy. Non-resistance is knowing the flow and not having to be concerned about it. Being willing to just push yourself in an arena where you are at peace with all that's going on around you and that you're not resisting any one particular area. You're not resisting your age. You're not resisting the weather. You're not resisting the things that are going on with other people. You're not personalizing and taking them on as your own. It's non-resistance. It's all about you being in that spot where you're perfectly at ease and peaceful with all that's going on around you. Not an easy feat, but that is the quest. And that's why this is the last chapter of this book. If this had been anywhere else in the book, you'd be like, what? I don't want to read that stuff. She's not making any sense. But when you put all of the chapters together, it starts to come and to really be able to manifest a whole nother way of being within yourself. And you can do this. This is altogether possible. When I share a few things from this chapter, maybe it'll all come together for you. At least that's my intention. So a weak man fights and a strong man governs himself. First page of this chapter. A strong man governs himself. You see, we talk about the cue process because when we're triggered, we have this automatic response. But a strong man controls those responses. And so she points out that there's one thing to control the response, and there's another to be non resistant to what causes the response. And you see, and in this cue work, you find out what your triggers are. And then once you dissolve the trigger, now when something happens to you, it doesn't affect you. Non resistance. You mentally resist more than you physically resist. Boy, isn't that the truth? We mentally spend a lot of time resisting what's going on in our universe, what's being put in front of us. We go, oh, I'm not going to go there. That's resistance, not non-resistance. Or, oh, that's just the way they are. They don't know any better. That's resistance. It's not non-resistance. Non-resistance says that there isn't anything that we need to do about another human being, no matter what they do or don't do, because it's all your mind determining whether what they're doing is right or wrong. You see, you're perfectly on your spiritual path, and that path belongs to you only. So to compare yourself to another person is not the direction that you want to be going into. Now, this one is hard to grasp because we have pains and aches and sorrow and despair. And we have these things as part of our impersonality. You see, it's part of our personality. We are the ones that are grabbing hold of these things and creating the hurts within our bodies or within our actions. The things that you meet in life do not hurt you. They're powerless to affect you. Huh? Powerless to affect me? We've all had numerous occasions where we can absolutely defy what she's saying here. That would certainly be resisting what she's saying, right? They are powerless to affect you, but your reactions to them may hurt you. If you resist by active opposition, you will certainly be hurt. I'll give you an example in my life. Many, many years ago, I was in a strange home. And when I came out of the bathroom, all the lights were off, and I knew where my bed was, which is where I was headed. And in my quest to find the bed, I moved a little too quickly and I hit a concrete pillar that was holding up this portion of the house. It was a beam made of concrete, and I hit it. It rang. Oh, the hurt. And I went, oh no. And this was right before I got into Unity. I got into Unity just a few months after this, but I hit that pole. And the person I was sharing a room with came up with this solution. And I resisted that pain. And I knew what would help my pain is some ice. I wanted some ice to put on that forehead that was just throbbing. And she said, would you please trust me? And so I discovered that if I trusted this person to heal me, and at that moment I said, I have nothing to lose. So she did a compound of some sort and put it on my forehead. And I remember a calm, an overwhelming calm, and I fell back to sleep. And I slept through the night. And to my surprise, when I woke up in the morning, there was not a welt. I had very little memory of it even happening to me. And yet there I was, healed. And that is, to me, a really good example of non-resistance. I didn't resist what she was going to do for me. I became calm. Non-resistance. I let the universe take care of me, and I was safe. I was not harmed. I was not harmed. I can recall another incident where my sister was hit with a bat, baseball bat. The catcher, the batter moved the bat in such a way that it hit her when she was the catcher. And I remember running up to her and grabbing the bat and saying, hold still, hold still. And she's screaming, she's just been hurt. And I said, hang on, hang on. The bat will heal you because the bat was hurt too. And the bat and her had merged, and there was a calming. I saw it on her face. There was a coolness to her skin where she'd been hit. And it was amazing to me. And that was, as a kid, as a youngster. And I say these things because the law of non-resistance is we let the universe take care of us, and we don't fight how that healing could take place, whether the healing is with another human being or within ourselves. But our mental capacity to resist this is very, very strong. Our outer expressions of saying, that doesn't bother me, but mentally we are going, oh, they did this and oh, they did that. Well, your outer expression is not in alignment with your mental expression. So you have an uneven flow of negativity coming to you. And so we must eradicate that way of believing, because she tells us that to oppose is to resist. If you think somebody else is doing something wrong, you're opposing them and you're the problem. You're the problem. Does this mean you need to agree with everybody? No. It means that they have an idea and you have an idea about something. That doesn't mean that you can disagree with that person's idea. It just means that they have a different idea than you. So it's not agree to disagree. It's agree that there are differences. But she talks about what's really essential is not pointing out the differences between the two people or two incidents or two modes of thinking. What's important is that you focus on what you agree on and not stay focused on what you disagree on. Because what you disagree on becomes your mantra, which creates more disagreement and disharmony in your life and in your body. So your job is to find reasons to agree, not to disagree. And I think about our current affairs. History is going to go down in the books for January 6th, 2021, is a day that there was a resistance against our absolute form of government, right? We're all going to remember this date. This was something that we certainly hope will never happen again. You see, they resisted the results. And I think, just my humble opinion, that had that not happened, and had not all of the disagreement about the election results never happened, but rather the losing party conceded the night of the election, if that had happened, that losing candidate could have amassed an enormous amount of support to run again and win handedly, in my opinion. But because there was this resistance to not only the results, but then the riot itself, what has happened to all those people that resisted? Many of them are in jail. Many of them have lost their jobs. They resisted rather than the non-resistance of, okay, I didn't win. Let's figure out what we got to do to win next time, which is the democratic way, you see. So non-resistance plays a role in so much of what we do. To resist is to oppose. And she's saying, don't oppose. Focus on what you agree on, and you'll find more opportunities for peace. I was asked just yesterday how I liked my vacation. And my immediate response was, it was cold. Right. And I went, oh, yes, it was cold. And I said, it was a little colder than I thought, but we made good do with what we had. We brought the right equipment. We brought the right sweaters and jackets. We still had a really good time. You see, I brought out what I liked about the trip rather than focusing on the fact that it was so cold. So I'm learning, because I'm not a big fan of being cold. I'm learning to be non-resistant to when the weather doesn't give me what I want. I'm working on it. But this chapter reminded me that when you resist the cold weather, I have pains and aches and things I don't want to have. So I need to stop that. I need to stop that behavior. And that was one of my intentions. And it is my intention. I will stop that behavior because I don't want to resist something. I want to find a way to like what I don't like. Does that make sense? I hope. But the point being is that in this chapter, she really nails this idea of when you are not at peace with yourself, you're opposing something. And she's saying, take a look at that something to figure it out. What is it I'm doing that is causing me to not be at peace, be at a serenity point? For probably the last 6-8 months, I've been working on what happens to me when I wake up at night. Right in the middle of the night, I wake up. Why am I awake? And a whole bunch of stuff starts flowing. Oh, this happened and that happened, a TV show, a news report, And I'm learning that when I feel that, I will immediately shift gears and say, oh, that's true, whatever. But for right now, I'm going to focus on all the good that's in my life, all the good things that happened that day. And 99% of the time, I fall right back to sleep and sleep through the night. But there's a stirring that wakes me up, my opposition to something, because the universe is there for me to sleep. It's a safe place for me to sleep. So I need to grab that in a non-resistant way versus resisting going to sleep with all the mental anguish that's going on. So you can look at 2 affirmations I think are brilliant in this book. And it's on the third or fourth page. You are safe. Repeat that. I am safe. You oppose nothing. Repeat that. I oppose nothing. You imagine that? Imagine if you took those two simple statements and really believed them in every facet of your life, that you are safe and that you oppose nothing. So when opposition comes up, you can say, whoa, 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 whoa. Non-resistance. I do not oppose what you're doing. It's not what I would do, but I don't oppose it. I don't oppose it. And we let go of so many other facets of our being that we oppose and fight and resist and try to shove away. You see, because God gives us everything we ever need. With God, all things are possible, right? Do we really believe that? We don't. We want to. But then we start thinking lack statements. I don't have enough. I need this. I need that. How many of us thought we were running out of toilet paper when the pandemic first started? We were, and then it quieted down because people realized how silly it all was. And we started to just go with that. We have all that we will need. The universe supplies us with abundance. And I do not have to have a poverty consciousness. I have a prosperity consciousness when we understand that the universe has unlimited supply. Unlimited supply. There is nothing for us to fear. We don't have to believe that we're going to run out of gasoline or energy fuels or anything in our life. We have all that we will ever need. But we have to take that on as our truth. We have to ensure that our thinking doesn't go off and start bringing in lack statements. And the last point I want to make about this chapter is this idea of I don't oppose anything that happens in nature, right? Hurricane season, snowstorms, hail, tornadoes, not enough rain, too much rain, all of those things at nature. And what if we took on the stance of not opposing it? Not opposing it, and no harm will come to us. It's the opposition that we create that causes us to have that harm. And we get to choose not have that harm. So I leave you with some questions. Where are you opposing life? Where is it? What part of your being, what part of your everyday life do you oppose what's going on around you? And I invite you to take a look at those areas and change your mind about them. Don't oppose them anymore, but find your likeness rather than your differences. And talk about that in your group. Talk about how important it is to not oppose each other, but to allow ourselves to talk about the things that we have in common. You see, when you oppose something, you are automatically bringing opposition into your beingness. And we say we don't want that. Well, then we have to change our behavior, right? So what areas of your life are you opposing? Are you opposing that your kids live too far away? Are you opposing that you haven't gotten your shot yet? Are you opposing, your neighbors, the way they don't mow their lawn? Whatever it is. But each of you come up with areas of your life, more than one maybe, that you find yourself opposed to, and change your mind and look at the things that are similar and stay focused on that. And you'll find that your life is much different. I thank you for joining us through this 6 weeks, and we will see you next time. Godspeed. Love you guys. Bye.